We visit Great British Bake Off alumna Bryony May Williams, who's at home making us her Nana Pat's special apple pie. I wonder what happened to Paul Hollywood.
So I was on the Great British Bake Off in 2018. I got to the semi-finals and then I went back in 2019 and won the Great Christmas Bake Off. So I did get a cake stand in the end. I dedicated the showstopper in Danish week to my Nana Pat, and it was called a cakecorne. They make it out of Danish pastries, but it's in the shape of a person. So we had to create our own, and I decided to dedicate it to my Nan because a lot of my baking history comes from her. So I made, but rather than do her now, I did her kind of in the 40s with her victory curls and her, you know, glamorous clothes like she used to wear. So she sadly passed away in 2020 in November. At the ripe old age of 95. She was an incredibly special person in my life, in all of my family's lives. She was a wonderful, wonderful woman and we miss her every day. But she was a home economist and she was an amazing baker, and she learnt to bake this apple pie from her mother, who would just do it by eye. You know, she would just literally just throw everything in the bowl and she didn't even measure it. And then my Nan used to make it for sort of family occasions and serve it up. So it's, you know, it's very much a generational pie that I hope to now pass on to my daughter as well. So it's very important. We've got all our ingredients, and very importantly, this bowl was actually my Nana's bowl that she used to bake in. So it's a family heirloom, which I hope to pass down to Nora one day. To say that Nana Pat was an inspiration is really an understatement. You know, she's been there through my whole life. She was the kindest woman I've ever met. Incredibly generous, very open-minded. You know, she was in her 90s, but you could talk to her about anything and she'd sit and listen and just hear what you have to say. She played a huge part in my life growing up. She would pick us up from school. She'd sit down and do my homework with me because my mum was a single working mum. So she relied a lot on my Nan to help out with childcare. You know, she'd take my brother on his paper round rather than him getting on his bike and doing it himself. You know, she would always doing stuff for other people. And since she's passed, we all miss her so much. It's a blessing that my daughter got to know her great-grandmother, you know, for 5 years. That's something that not a lot of people get to do. But yeah, we miss her incredibly and her kindness. When Nana was, you know, in her last few weeks and months, we had a lot of time together, we talked a lot. I asked her to give me her apple pie recipe and she reeled it off from memory, every single measurement, every single step in the method. She knew it by heart, even though she probably hadn't actually baked it for years because of her age, but she still knew everything she had to do. And it was so sweet. She'd say, you know, and you can keep the trimmings for jam tarts for the kids. You know, she had all this just knowledge that she imparted, and, you know, methods of how to make sure that you rub the butter in properly. And it's just a very special memory for me, having her pass that down and loving the fact that she didn't even need to look it up in a recipe book. She already had it up there. You know, it's been well over a year and I still miss her every day. Anything that happens, I want to call and tell her. You know, she was always so proud of all of us for what we achieved. And yeah, I think, you know, it's a lovely thing to have those recipes from her. Like, she also gave me her soda bread recipe and other little recipes of hers that I will always keep and, you know, pass down to Nora, and hopefully it'll carry on, and it's kind of like carrying on her legacy almost, you know, through baking. And that is ready for the oven. You know, these dishes do connect back to her childhood, to where she grew up, you know, to Northern Ireland, to her family, to her farm. And it's lovely that, you know, she's passed those memories that are, you know, excuse the pun, all mixed in with this apple pie down as well, so that when I make it with Nora, I can tell her all about Granky and the farm and where Nan grew up and how they didn't have a fridge. You know, it was before electricity, and how my Nan didn't see a banana until she was 22, and, you know, stuff that maybe Nora, well, she probably will take for granted, but I can still carry that on, and it all comes, you know, it's all intertwined with these recipes and with that baking. Well, here it is, my lovely Nana Pat's absolutely lovely apple pie. When I think of Nana Pat now, I think of her sat in her chair with her newspaper, doing the crossword, which she did every day, and just the way her face lit up when any of us walked in the room. You know, she loved her family so much. I really miss seeing that because she was just so special. And she just had so much joy in her, had so much joy to share with everyone. So yeah, definitely, yeah. Or doing a Sudoku, she liked those as well. I think that's why she was so on it until her very last days. Very clever lady.